Alright, today I'm going to be hacking a Panasonic Lumix FH27, and this is a 16 megapixel camera. First thing we need to do is remove all the screws around the perimeter of the camera, and on this right hand side there's 4 that need to be removed. There's 3 on the bottom next to the tripod mounting hole, and on the left hand side there's 2 over there. So I'm going to go ahead and get all those removed. I always like to start on the right hand side of the top, no matter what camera I'm doing, just in case there's screws that are different sizes, and keep all of them in orientation of where they came out. And that way, if there are different size screws, you'll know exactly where they go back if you do it this way. Get the 2 on this left hand side, and you're ready to start separating the halves of the camera. I've already noticed on these screws, even though they all look like they're the same, the 3 on the bottom were like they're just a little larger diameter, and they have a little larger head to them. Alright, so make sure the battery is out of the camera. Go ahead and take that out. Now I can start separating the 2 halves of the camera. Let's see if I can get this one started. You have to be careful with that LCD screen, because this one was kind of stuck on that back cover. Alright, so I've got my front and back covers off now. I'm going to rotate this LCD screen over, and I want to take this bracket off back here that holds that LCD screen. So go ahead and take the screws out for that. Looks like there's 3 of them. And again, try to keep your screws in some type of order so that you know where they go back, in case they're different lengths, different sizes. On this camera it was like they were all the same. So go ahead and lift that bracket off. Now we can rotate that screen back over. And I'm looking to see what we need to do here. There's one little latch right here at the bottom for a small ribbon. Get that out. Right, now we need to remove this little board right here, so you can kind of get under the edge of it, that and the plastic holder that it's on, and just kind of work that up. So let me get under there with a screwdriver if I can. Kind of work that little plastic piece up, and that board should disengage from the little connection that it's on. It's just on a little push-in block right here. So now we've got that off, and we can disengage the latch for our LCD screen, for the larger ribbon here. Rotate that latch up, being careful that we don't break it. So now we slide our LCD screen out and remove it and get it out of the way. Now to get the top off up here, it's just on a push-in connector, so we can ease that up out of the block, and we can remove that whole top board and set our camera to the side. Right, now that I've got my camera part and I've got my top board here, before I go any further, I want to discharge this flash capacitor. Turn on a little extra light here, and you'll notice right here by this 2 resistors, you'll see 2 bare copper areas. That's going to be the positive trace for your flash capacitor and flash circuit, and then up here next to the little wire on the flash capacitor itself, you can use that as the ground side. And there's also a couple of extra little bare pads there that you could use, and we can take our 10 watt 100 ohm resistor and go ahead and discharge the voltage off this capacitor so we don't short anything out. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Right, so now that I've drained the voltage on my capacitor, we need to remove our power and shutter board from the little trim that's on there. So there's one screw over here on the right hand side by the battery contacts. I'm going to remove it. And then there's another screw right here that's close to the side where the capacitor's at. We'll remove it. Alright. Okay, now that I've got the screws out, it's a matter of just working the little catches loose all the way around that keep the board in place. And be careful that we don't break those. See if I can get these all worked loose here. And that little LED lamp clear piece of plastic goes over it. It's going to want to fall out, so just keep track of that. And also, once you get that loose, the speaker is attached up in here, and it's on a couple little clips that hold it in, so just kind of work that loose and get rid of your top trim piece. Alright, the hack locations on this camera, starting with the slide switch. On the back side of that switch, the left hand side, the left contact back there is going to be your power common, and then the one to the furthest right is going to be for power. For the shutter button, which is here, the bottom left contact is going to be your shutter. Just make sure that you don't bridge that to the metal housing on the shutter button itself, or to short that out and it won't operate. The easiest way to get your wires to stick is going to be to put a little dab of soldering paste or soldering flux at these contacts. It doesn't take much, just a little bit. And especially on this slide switch over here, you can go ahead and pre-tin those locations, and then go ahead and pre-tin your wires, and it makes it really easy to get your wires to stick to those locations. Under the bottom for your externals on this camera, in this orientation, the pin to the far left is going to be for external battery positive, and then the one to the far right is going to be external battery negative. And I usually solder those right to the base next to the green board. Alright, now that I've got my main board, or my power and shutter board up top, hacked with my power and shutter and external wires, just want to show you how I route mine out of the camera. There's a little slit in this top board, and I just run my power common, my power, and my shutter wire down through there. And then on the back for my externals, where I have them soldered on, I'm going to run those across to the right side toward the edge of the board and have them coming out the back. And to make access point, or an exit point, to run my externals out, right on top of the area where the battery contacts would fit in, right in this right hand corner on the back side, I cut out some of that plastic to give a relief for my wires to come through, and they will actually just tuck into this little recess on the main board on the back of the camera. Now for my power common and shutter wires, there's an area right here that had this flat section of plastic. I cut out maybe 3/8 of an inch of that was there, and be careful when you do that, because you don't want to do any damage to your main board that's right below it. And that'll give me a area that my power common and shutter wires can come out to the back of the board here, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Okay, at this point what I've done is I've already got my top board back on. I've also installed my front cover, and the tripod mount over here, what I did was I just, since it's metal, I took a hacksaw blade, you could use a cut off wheel or whatever you have, and just cut that tripod mount hole off, and then clean up the burrs on it so you don't chafe your wires, and that gives me a point that I can run my wiring outside my camera. As you see here, I ran my shutter, power, and power common wire down off the main board across the back of the lens assembly, and then my external power wires, I ran those across, and just taped them in place here, brought them over, and brought them in with the other 3 wires I have, and run them out that tripod mount, and just tape them in place. And I went ahead, and the reason I put that front cover back on was so I could put 1 screw in that tripod mount just to hold it in place, otherwise it wants to constantly fall out. But from here I'm going to go ahead and get my camera back together, and then we'll come back and check the hack. Alright, I've completed my hack on the Panasonic FH27. Now I want to check it. So the first thing I want to do is check the external wires to make sure I'm getting a good connection at the battery contacts. I'm getting a positive and negative battery wires. And I'm getting a voltage reading of 3.93, so I know my external wires are connected properly. Now check our hack. Take my power and power common wires and connect those, and our camera powers up. We'll take our shutter wire and touch it to those two, and we'll get a photo. And once again, shutter to the power and power common, and we'll get a photo. Disconnect power and power common, and the camera powers off. Alright guys, so that's the hack on the Panasonic FH27, and thanks for watching.